Hi everyone, thank you for coming today here to speak to us and to share your experience about the trip when visiting the Woolen mill and the gin factory. So if I just ask you a few questions, you can share your experiences. And the first question is, how did you find the visit to the Woolen mill and the gin factory?
It was very beneficial. It was good to see how it's been passed through generations of skills and techniques and using just basing it on just industrial machinery. And it was cool to see how it started from 1967 with the family wool factory and how it's still going in 2020 today and how it's still beneficial and helping companies, people.
I think it was good to hear as well about how he said that obviously because it was a family business, they had trial and error throughout and is still successful and still running. Yeah. But he talked about his experience and how they tried to do everything but that didn't work, so now they've narrowed it down.
Of course, I think it's important as well because that just shows that you can't be experts at everything, you just look at what they started, what they're best at and continue with that and it's going on to this day. Anything else?
It was nice to see how specialist people work at their skills, I suppose, how they built it up. But I found that it was a little bit I thought they could have simplified the explanations a little bit as to how they use the machinery, because I found that I was a bit
it was a chunk of information,
yeah,
isn't it? Okay.
Sort of simplify it a lot.
I think he just wanted to give us an insight into what a life would be, obviously there. But I guess probably if you start working there, you wouldn't be trained, doing everything. You might just be specializing on one thing.
Yeah.
But it's just for us to get an idea of what's going on basically in a small factory.
It's good to learn the specialist terminology for it as well.
Yeah, it would have been nice to have a leaflet or something maybe to go around and look at and take away from it.
Okay, that's interesting. So do you think it helped towards your research and your studies?
Yeah, sort of, but I think using a leaflet or something to because obviously we're not all going to remember it, to sort of have that research and go back and forth would make it a lot more easier.
Okay. Do you find yourself taking pictures so you can obviously have binary research basically to include, to remember? Because of we try to actually take a lot of pictures and send them to Kerry, so you can always ask her, to give you some share some of the pictures so you can literally write down, some of the things you don't remember. Because I know you guys were making garments for the St. David's Day. Obviously, the trip was a bit close to your deadline, I'm guessing. Or maybe some people want to add that, before they submit, basically. And also, do you think this will be beneficial for others? Do you recommend other students who visit to have an interest in fashion?
I think so, yeah, because also, although some people might not be so interested in knitwear, you might have some people come in who really have interests in certain specialist areas. So it's good to have an insight into different industries within the fashion business. So yeah, it was really beneficial in that way.
I also think it's good to experience that firsthand, because then you sort of see the actual reality of it. Even if it's not what you thought it was, and you think, that's not for me, it's still a good experience regardless. Yeah, seeing a different lifestyle and background. And also it's good for the environment on how you're using all sustainable resources, not just for us, but for the environment, the way fashion is going. I think it's important to use everything like they're saying they were using the sheep wool and everything. I think that's quite important.
Because even for me, I actually envisioned how it would look in the beginning, and seeing all that, when I just walked in, I just thought it looked like candies, and then seeing the whole process is amazing. How that transformed into the garments and all that. And yes,
I think it was good as well because some people might want to start their own businesses, so it shows the value of sort of taking the time to do these sort of longer processes and being sustainable. It shows that it's still got a place in the fashion industry. Some people might think that fast fashion and stuff that you get on the high street is more valuable, but it just shows that you can get just as much from taking your time to make something special.
Yeah, because I think it shows the one of the designs which were really complicated, and it was just showing that, and who would ever imagine a single wall can actually get something so nice pattern out of it, you know. And it's really important how you're saying about that, you know, it's not just everything that is sustainable is boring, but it can be very interesting, you know, and very out there. Also, what else do you think could be done to improve the visit? Because I know one of you mentioned about the leaflet. You know, do you think
Yeah, just a
anything
bit
else?
more like background knowledge and like history on it maybe, because I don't know if like some of us were split into groups, we might have been missing some certain information. So maybe just like a generic leaflet or a research page.
Maybe like a kind of workshop, and maybe a little bit more. I feel like some of the people were not thorough enough in how they explained some things. I feel like the terminology was sort of like thrown. Maybe it needs to be like simplified a little bit. So some of the words that they used to describe the machinery, they might have been more understood if they sort of explained them a little bit.
They all just sound Chinese to us, isn't it?
Well, yeah,
We know what
it's
it
sort of
is.
like, because they've been sort of drilled in it and it's their everyday sort of career. I think they sort of forget how complicated it sounds to someone who doesn't understand it. So maybe a bit more sort of understanding from that kind of point of view to sort of pass on the knowledge in a easier to understand way.
Something else? Okay, thank you all for coming, and it's great having you. Thank you.